Welcome to the deep dive. If you're anything like us, you probably love it when, mechanics and philosophy kind of crash into each other,
Absolutely.
especially in this weird and wonderful world of independent watchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're really diving into a 2025 release that really reminds us why this whole artisan side of watchmaking kicks up so much debate. We're talking about the Vianney Halter Reality of Time watch.
A B1.
Yeah. So our mission really is to give you the shortcut to understanding this piece. It's pretty anticipated. We need to unpack the collaboration behind it, look at the design language, how it pulls together these two really different styles from his past, and crucially, tackle that big question it raises about value. What are you actually paying for?
And just for immediate context, this isn't just some standard release.
Right.
It's a major collaboration. It marks the 10th anniversary of the limited edition. So they got Pietro Tomacher, Emerlikan Sunduran, you probably know him as the Horophile, and obviously the man himself, Vianney Halter.
Right.
And the idea was pretty clear. Take Halter's classic, sort of foundational classic timepiece design and give it a modern spin, a more refined feel.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? The tension we have to hit straight away. You're looking at a watch. It just tells time. Hours, minutes, seconds. A time-only piece. But this specific one, super limited, costs CHF $79,000.
Right.
And that's before tax.
Wow.
It's a staggering number for, simple functionality. So, okay, let's unpack this because, at that price, we're not just talking about telling time anymore, are we?
No, absolutely not. We're talking art, legacy. The object itself is an artifact.
Definitely.
And you can't even begin to understand that price tag without understanding Halter's legacy. Vianney Halter is, arguably one of the most unique visionary voices in modern watchmaking.
For sure.
His name, for anyone who follows this stuff, it just brings up these two really strong, almost conflicting design ideas that have run through his whole career.
Okay, so let's talk about that first one. Because that's the one that really, grabbed everyone's attention globally, right?
Yeah.
That look, that basically was steampunk before people were even really using that word.
Exactly. We're talking about the famous Classics series and the Antiqua, which he did with Jeffrey Barnes.
Right.
Those pieces, they had those signature porthole looks, the exposed rivets, that kind of heavy industrial futuristic vibe, almost theatrical Baroque mechanics. He was really pushing against what a watch should look like.
But then he did a total 180, didn't he? A massive style change.
He did. His second big design direction came later with the Metropolis series. And he just stripped away all that theatrical stuff, pared it all back, focused on extreme simplicity, clarity of structure. He was exploring these really clean, almost architectural Art Deco lines and shapes, a complete reset stylistically.
So what's really interesting then is how this new watch, the Reality of Time, tries to bring those two completely separate parts of his career together.
And that's the real genius of it, I think. It's a synthesis. It takes that elegant structure, the sort of refined shape of the Metropolis that Art Deco feel, but then it weaves in those signature, almost romantic industrial touches from the classics.
The rivets and things.
Exactly. So it's not just, copying an old design. It's like he's distilled his entire 30-year design journey into this one piece.
So let's look at how he actually did that physically, bringing that industrial vibe into a pretty modern and wearable 39mm case. The materials seem key here. The case itself is titanium, modern, light, practical.
And here's something new for Halter, at least in production. The case has this raw matte finish.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it really emphasizes the structure, the material itself, rather than being all shiny. That speaks more to that Metropolis clarity,
But he didn't completely ditch the past, right? To keep that link to the classics, that titanium gets these beautiful accents of highly polished rose gold rivets.
That's the touch.
Yeah, you see them on the bezel, on the crown. They're like these direct little nods back to those early, really famous pieces. It's modern utility meets vintage industrial charm. Right there.
It's a fantastic contrast of materials. And you mentioned the 39mm size. It's also really thin, 8.2mm.
Which is genuinely slim for an independent piece like this. Although, worth noting, it does jump up to almost 12mm thick if you include that big domed sapphire crystal.
Right, that adds presence.
Definitely. It's a visual choice, adds depth to the dial.
Yeah.
But it's clearly meant to be worn daily, still feels quite elegant, offers 30 meters water resistance, which is, practical enough.
Right. Okay, now, let's talk about the dial, because the contrasts continue there and the textures really stand out. It's layered. You've got an anthracite titanium base, and the finishes are different. The center is microblasted, but the outer edge, the periphery, is brushed. Then you have the chapter ring around the outside with these numerals that are painted in a sort of powdery way. Apparently, they give off a soft glow. It's a very textural, almost architectural way to do a simple time display.
And the hands. This is the detail I really like reading about. Rose gold treated, shaped like old fountain pen nibs.
Classic Halter.
Yeah. It's so distinctively him. It's original, it's layered, it feels tactile. But somehow it stays really restrained and easy to read. It's wonderfully nerdy, but it works.
And that aesthetic restraint, it's clever, actually, because it makes you focus less on just the surface complexity and more on the concept and the engine inside. We're talking about the VH122 automatic movement.
Okay, let's get the tech specs out quickly. It's a 30-joule movement, runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour, that's 3 hertz, 56-hour power reserve, standard hours, minutes, seconds.
The specs are solid, yeah. But here's the technical bit that really lifts it. The patented mysterious winding mass.
Nice.
And in this watch, it's made of sapphire.
Okay, we can't just gloss over that. Why is the mysterious rotor such a big deal? Why patent it?
Well, because it gets rid of the usual rotor, that half-moon weight you normally see swinging around, blocking the view of the movement.
Right.
Halter basically put the winding system around the edge, on the periphery, and made the weight itself out of transparent sapphire. So the watch winds automatically, but you get this almost totally clear, full view of the movement architecture and the finishing underneath. It's technically really tricky to do because you need the same winding efficiency as a central rotor, but you have to distribute that weight almost invisibly around the edge. It's like a mechanical magic trick.
Okay, that technical flair then kind of sets the stage for the real philosophical core of the watch, doesn't it? The thing that gives it its name.
Absolutely, because right there on that sapphire winding mass, the thing you have to look through to see the movement, there's an engraving. It's a quote from the philosopher Gaston Bachelard. It reads, "Le temps n'a qu'une réalité, celle de l'instant."
Which translates beautifully, and I think quite importantly too, time has only one reality, that of the moment.
So what's the implication for the person wearing it? Look, Halter's whole career has been about exploring time as a physical thing.
Yeah.
By putting this specific quote on the rotor, the part that only moves, only functions, when you're actually wearing the watch, it connects the mechanics directly to this idea of philosophical thought.
So the watch itself kind of forces you to see time, not as just, ticking away or some future schedule, but as a focus on the present moment, the fleeting now.
Exactly.
That's why it's on the rotor, the bit that's only alive while you're actively in the moment wearing it. It's a really powerful conceptual heart to the piece.
It reframes the whole idea of a time-only watch. It's not about simplicity, it's about focus. It's saying, pay attention to this minute right now because that's the only thing that's truly real. That's the kind of philosophical depth that often drives the value in high-end independent watchmaking.
Which brings us right back around to that massive price tag. CHF $79,000. Okay, we've got the technical innovation with the rotor, we've got the philosophical weight, incredible design heritage. But how do we, as collectors or just enthusiasts, actually assess the value of a time-only piece? Even one limited to just 20 watches. Is that price justified?
Well, the sources we looked at showed an immediate and pretty fierce split in opinion right after it was announced.
I bet.
We really have to lay out both sides impartially because this debate gets right to the heart of this market segment.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. The skeptical collector, CHF $79,000.
Nah.
That puts you squarely in the territory of really high-end complications, right? Think A. Landesona chronographs, complex, Pateks, often in precious metals. So how can you justify that kind of money for this? The critiques mentioned in the sources pointed out it's just titanium, not gold or platinum. They argued it's a rework, not something totally new from the ground up.
And that's the traditional way to measure value, and it's a fair point. Complications, materials, how much finishing you can see. The criticism definitely honed in on that. Some quite extreme views even claim the movement showed zero decoration or finishing.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And someone even complained about an ugly font on the caseback, apparently. So these collectors are looking at the tangible, measurable bits.
Okay.
But then you get the other side of the argument, the defense of the price. And that comes down to extreme rarity and the direct involvement of the master watchmaker. Halter is known for making maybe 40 watches a year total.
Tiny numbers.
Tiny. And this specific collaboration, only 20 pieces.
Yeah.
You're basically paying for immediate access to work by one of the most important living independent watchmakers.
Okay, but let's tackle that finishing critique head on. If some people are saying there's no decoration, How does that fit with the idea that Halter is doing high-end horologery hand finishing?
Right, this needs clarification. Because independent watchmaking often demands you look a bit closer, differently. When the sources mention horologery, finishing things like anglage and perlage.
Explain those quickly for us.
Sure, perlage is that decorative pattern of small overlapping circles you often see on the main plate or bridges. It gives it a kind of shimmering texture, which you'd glimpse through the sapphire rotor here.
Okay.
More importantly, anglage or beveling is where all the edges of the movement parts, the bridges and plates, are filed down by hand to a precise angle, usually 45 degrees, and then polished to a mirror shine. It's purely decorative, incredibly labor-intensive, and a hallmark of high watchmaking.
So it's finished then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact that some critics couldn't easily see the finishing is arguably part of the design. The focus here isn't flashy decoration, it's the mechanism, the concept, the sapphire rotor innovation. Halter isn't hiding the finishing because it isn't there. He's prioritizing the view of the unique mechanics. The value is in the subtle execution, the innovation, not necessarily a blingy spectacle.
I see. So the price isn't just for the metal. It's for the rarity, the story, the collaborative vision, and maybe the huge amount of hidden handwork that goes into making just 20 of these things. You're paying for the name and the narrative, not just the weight in grams.
Precisely. And the article we read really summed up this tension well. It concluded that, yes, the watch successfully brings together Halter's different design worlds, but maybe the price itself is part of the point, part of the philosophical statement.
How so?
By being so high for a simple function, the reality of time kind of forces you to question what value even is in watchmaking, just as much as it embodies a certain kind of value. It's almost suggesting that time itself, the moment, is the real luxury, and money, well, money is just the imperfect tool we use to try and measure the worth of the object that reminds us of that.
Quite a thought. Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive for you today, let's hit the key takeaways. First, there's that successful blend of Halter's two big design styles: the industrial steampunk touches and the clean Art Deco lines, all in this restrained 39mm titanium case with those rose gold accents. Second, the philosophical core, that Bachelard quote about the reality of the moment, cleverly tied to the function of the mysterious sapphire rotor.
Really smart.
And third, that fundamental question in independent watchmaking, the super high value placed on the concept, the rarity, the innovation, the handcraft, all adding up to justify, for some at least, that CHF 79,000 price.
Which leaves us with maybe one final thought for you to chew on. When you look at top-tier independent watchmaking, you kind of see two main paths, right? There's the path of complexity. Think of Halter's own Deep Space Tourbillon, pure mechanical fireworks.
Right.
And then there's the path of contemplation, like this reality of time, focusing on philosophy, restraint, design. In today's high-end market, which path do you think ultimately represents the greater luxury? Is it the sheer mechanical complexity, or is it the quiet philosophical depth? Something to ponder next time you glance at your wrist.